Let's go ahead and get started. So normally when I do a complex build like this, I'll actually draw it out. And here's my very rough sketch. I know I'm such an artist, but I've laid out exactly what is what. So I have my core right here, with represented with the dotted lines. The actual head of the flail here, with the rope itself. Handle, pommel, so on. And I do this so I can cut everything down and have my specific length that I'm looking for. So I know that I want 7 inches backwards, unfortunately. I know it's 7 inches between the actual body and the chain and head. So I make my heads at around 3 inches. That way it's nice and legal. 2.5 circumference. So that leaves me with another, that's going to be 4 inches worth of chain right there. So, but first things first, we'll start with the body. I wrote down the core as being 26 inches. So I've already got one pre-cut. Let's go ahead and move this down. So I'm going to use a PVC core for this. That way it can slide, my cloth covering can slide through nicely. So I will be using pool noodle for this, since the actual body doesn't have to be strikely. So all this can be courtesy pattern. So I'll use the pool noodle since it's just a bit shorter than the actual 2.5. Let's see what this comes down to. Yeah, it's about 2 inches right on the nose. And the pool noodle fits nicely, as you can see, right on there. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down. Let's see, cut it down 17 inches. So right there at 17, take my handy dandy scissors and just put it right there. So that is cut. Fairly easy to do it this way. Put it right there, flush to the very end. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to cut it. I'm going to tape this up first, give it a little bit of a torque wrap, and then we're going to cut 1 inch worth of end to come over this as a little cap. Start with my tape. So, we've got that. Draw 2 nice little circles. Right around. And actually, we're gonna do 4 of them because we're gonna use a quick and dirty method for our pommel. Take our Super 77, just because that's what I like to use. Nothing against that. I just don't like painting on every time. Alright. Spray a little bit on. Put one piece over. spray a little bit more. Get our tape ready. Put that right on the end. We're almost done with the body. So at this point, what I'd like to do is I'm going to get this covered and ready to go. So you can use your cloth tape all the way down. However, that's a pretty big waste in my opinion. So what I've opted to do instead, so I've taken the liberty of prefabbing a few things. I just sewn a piece of cloth in half like I would do for a normal cover, where I would measure around it, take whatever measure that is, transfer that to my sewing machine, and run that right through. So what I'm gonna do, alright, that just saves me some time with, or not some time, but some materials with the cloth. It could be really anything that you have lying around. Grip tape is expensive, so I don't like to use it all that much. So I'll just measure it out a little bit. Right about there. Looks good. I actually use a little bit of packing tape. Keep that on there. Same with the other side. Alright, now we just got to cover the ends. And we're going to do the same thing we did before with the 3 pieces covering the top. Adjust this camera up a little bit. Alright. So, take my grip tape, make sure it goes past that cloth. One over the top. Ooh. Back over. And then for the last one, maybe 3 strips and we get total coverage. Now you're going to just wrap it all the way around. Now you're probably wondering why I'm doing this now, seeing as there's no, ball and chain attached to it. Well, I do that, and what I'll do is I'll actually poke a hole right here. And then I'll feed it all the way down, the cloth that is. And it actually gives it a more unified look, a more finished look. Alright. And you can see on my first one that I've done, I didn't quite do that, I did it a different way. And it looks nice. It doesn't look bad, it's just, I think it looks nicer this way, personally. that wrapped all the way down. Alright. So, we can go ahead and put this away for now. Now, I want my head to be, 3 inches long. So what I'm going to do is, since I know that my camp pad is roughly a 1/2 inch, I'm going to go ahead and cut this to 2 inches. So 1/2 inch on each side should give me my 3. Alright, there's my 2 inches. Fill that in. Give it some internal support. All right. So now just to make sure, wrapped around, it's going to give roughly 2.5, which will put us legal. So, my favorite thing, absolute favorite thing about yoga mat, it's got these nice little marks on here. I don't know if you can really see them. So, once you line everything up, you know, you can cut right there and follow that all the way down, get a nice straight line. I don't particularly like using yoga mat for a lot of things. It tends to be quite heavy and dense, but used sparingly and in the right spots, it really acts nicely. Like it can be a sponge or it can be a brick, depending on how it's used. I'm gonna have to do a video on my hate stick, which I built completely out of yoga mat because, well, why not? I had a ton of it. I mean, it's not legal, but it's called hate stick. How legal can it be? So, bring her around, find a nice spot that I can cut her. A little bit of an overlap on it. Cut another piece down off of that. Yeah, that's about right. So, I'm not going to worry about gluing this. Everything's going to be fairly self-contained, so I'm not too concerned about it. I will, however, start the tape right there and pull it around. Put that right on there. I'm going to make 2 of these end caps. So, now we got our end caps. We're going to go ahead and tape those on there. So, for the cover, I went ahead and already prefabbed one of these as well. It's nice and long, actually significantly longer then, man, can't really see it. Significantly longer, almost twice as long as my actual core. So I use just a regular cotton. You don't want to use anything that's too stretchy, you know. Like you could, in theory, get away with using like layered pantyhose, but it would really take a lot. You might be able to get away with like a tube sock if you tried hard enough, but definitely build it under so that when it does stretch, it'll actually still be within tolerance. So like if you want to build it to, you know, have a 4-inch chain and a 5-inch head, that's fine. Just don't min-max it, you know. You don't want to go exactly 18 with your head and chain, you know, if you're using something like that. But with how small I build the heads on this and the chain, we should be okay. But I started to sew it like it's a normal cover, taking into consideration the thickness of this. But you'll notice I didn't sew it all the way down. Now you don't have to do that because only a portion of this is going to be exposed. Say this part, about this much or so, is going to be below in the actual core. But you will notice that I really sewn the heck out of it. Like I really made sure it's in there. So what I'll do, we'll flip it inside out. Now you want to make sure that stitching's nice and tight in there. You don't want the head flying out. So, just like a regular cover, except only half sewn. Go ahead and stick that head in there. So there we have our head. We're going to actually take our cloth tape and we're going to tape this up. Perfect. She is a beauty. So, here's the fun part. We're going to stab through at our approximate center. Ooh. Now realistically you can leave that off and slide 1 to 2 pieces on there to get that total coverage. It's absolutely viable to do it that way. So we're going to take some rope and just stick her down in there. Alright, now we are at the bottom. So what I'll do is I will take the very end of this and overlap it about yay much. I'll take some electrical tape and I'll tape it around. Give it 1, maybe 2 good turns through there. And then I'll actually fold this over. You want to tape the head all the way down. See how I'm coming past it? And back around. And there is our head. And from here, I'll actually measure it out. I want about 4 inches, so... Oh no. There we are. There we are. Roughly 4 inches. So I'm pretty happy with that. What I'll actually do is I'm not going to bother untaping this right now. I am just going to trim that right off and fold it down. I'm going to pull it, and then we're going to tape it. And we're almost done. So we have our flail for the most part. All we gotta do is a pommel. Do a quick and dirty pommel for you guys. Right there. Looks like about 2 inches. Let's see. 1 inch and 5/8. Still be alright. Stick that on the end. Put our 2 pieces we cut for 4 on there. Alright. And because they had a sale on black, and go ahead and actually, you know what? I've got something better. I've got some fancy purple tape. I don't normally like to use electrical tape, but black on black on black is a bit much. So, this is what we're going to use. I know Johnny Cash made it work, but I'm not nearly as awesome as that guy. Alright. There is your flail. I appreciate you guys taking the time, hanging out with me, watching me make stuff. Hope you guys have a fantastic night, and I will catch you all next time.